On March 4th of this year, the Buffalo Bills promoted Leslie Frazier to assistant head coach. But you have to think it won't be long before he's named the head coach of another NFL team. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Billievers Talk. My name is Joe, and welcome to this coach edition of Billievers Talk, where we take a look at a current Buffalo Bill coach and we ask ourselves what the future might hold for them. Before we do that, however, guys, I want to remind everyone, if you're new to this channel, my name is Joe, and if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, guys, hit that subscribe button as we keep you up to date on all Buffalo Bills and Buffalo sports news, even keep you covered on things that may affect the Buffalo Bills. We did a lot of coverage on the Cam Newton side with New England. We'll do even more coverage as things come up, as the NFL season hopefully gets closer and closer. But in this episode, we're going to go ahead and talk about Leslie Frazier, current defensive coordinator and assistant head coach of the Buffalo Bills. So while we do this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button as well and leave a comment. What do you think about Leslie Frazier? What do you think about his chances of being a head coach in the near future? And I'm talking as soon as next season. Guys, I am a huge Leslie Frazier fan, and that goes before his days with the Buffalo Bills, although since then, obviously, we've become even bigger fans of him. Leslie Frazier has been in the NFL for quite some time, including his time as a player. He was a player with the Chicago Bears during their Super Bowl run. In fact, he was part of that Super Bowl winning team with the Chicago Bears from 1981 to 1985. In the secondary, he actually led the Chicago Bears with 6 interceptions in 1985. Their Super Bowl season was part of the Super Bowl Shuffle. If you guys haven't seen that, I'm sure you can find that on YouTube as well. But then, shortly after that, he went into coaching. In 1988, he got his first coaching job. And his first coaching job was as head coach of the Trinity International University. And that's where he started off his coaching career. And then he quickly became an NFL coach. His first NFL coaching job was in 2002 when he was the defensive back coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's always been a guy who's focused on defense, and we see that even today with his work with the Buffalo Bills. Now, Leslie Frazier has spent time as a head coach in the past. He was the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, was named interim head coach for the final 6 games of their 2010 season, replacing former head coach Matt Childress, I believe it was, in 2010. As the interim head coach, he coached 6 games. The Minnesota Vikings went 3-3 in those 6 games. So they made him the head coach for the 2011 season. And in 2011, unfortunately, he did not fare so well, finishing 3-13. Now, the following season, in what is the biggest turnaround in Minnesota Vikings history, he leads the team to a 10-5-1 record, to a playoff appearance. They do end up losing to the Packers in the wild card round, but it's their first playoff appearance in a while for the Minnesota Vikings, and it looks like things are on the up and up. Unfortunately for Leslie Frazier, things do not stay that way as he finishes 5-10-1 the following season. Actually went 10-6 the season before, I apologize. Went 5-10-1 the following season in 2013, and then the Minnesota Vikings do not renew his option heading into the 2014 NFL season. Now, that does not stop Leslie Frazier from being a coach in the NFL. He goes back to what he knows. He is a defensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and in 2014 and 2015, you do see improvement from that Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. They actually were 3rd in the league in 2015 in takeaways, so a big improvement by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I believe it went from 28th to 19th, I read, but there was a big jump, big improvement by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you can see that with all of Leslie Frazier's coach defenses, including the next year in 2016 when he was the secondary coach of the Baltimore Ravens. Now, we always know that the Baltimore Ravens have a good defense, and 2016 was no different, right? They had a really good defense in 2016, a pretty good secondary. Now, they did just lose Ed Reed at that time, so maybe a little bit younger of a secondary, but they were able to put it together pretty well. And then shortly after that, Coach McDermott, of course, comes to the Buffalo Bills in 2017, and he wants a good defensive coordinator, and we hire defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier in 2017 to be the Buffalo Bills defensive coordinator. Of course, as Bills fans, we love him immediately. In 2017, he helps this Buffalo Bills team become a top 10 defensive unit after some struggles over the previous seasons. And then, of course, in 2018, they're a top 5 unit. In 2019, they're a top 5 unit again. Some people wondering why he was interviewed for head coaching jobs at the end of the 2019 season, and I'm one of those people. Again, I love Leslie Frazier. I want him to be the defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills for a long time. Unfortunately, that's just simply not how this league works, right? If you're good at defensive coordinator, if you're good as an offensive coordinator, you're going to get a shot. You're going to get a chance to be a head coach. Now, some people may say, hey, Leslie Frazier already had his chance. And you look at how he did in Minnesota. Again, he did not do so hot. A career record 32-1, a winning percentage of just under 40% at .398. But everyone deserves a second chance, right? You look at the league today, you look at the NFL today, there are plenty of coaches that are with their second team. In fact, one of the greatest coaches of all time was with his first team, didn't even win 50% of his games, and now he's with the New England Patriots. Of course, we all know who I'm talking about. He is pretty much dominant, or he's been dominant for the past 20 seasons. So I think that's not when or if, it's just a matter of when it comes to Leslie Frazier getting a head coaching job. I mean, you look at this Buffalo Bills defense, if they're able to perform the way they have in the previous 2 seasons, it's a shoo-in that Leslie Frazier is going to get interviews for a head coaching job. Now, the Buffalo Bills do put that assistant head coach tag on him in March of this offseason. And to be honest, guys, that's just to give him confidence, right? I mean, there were some people after it happened that said, I already thought he was the assistant head coach. I wonder if that position, if that title comes with a pay raise, right? Because we all know what Leslie Frazier and what this defense means to this Buffalo Bills team, right? Buffalo Bills top defensive unit means that helped us go to the playoffs last season. This top defensive unit made us have a respectable 2018 during Josh Allen's rookie year. So there are definitely times where Leslie Frazier's defense has needed help, and that's where Sean McDermott has come in. So you do wonder, does leaning on Coach McDermott help Leslie Frazier, make him look a little bit better than he actually is? But either way, you still have to give this guy a shot to be a head coach again in the NFL. Again, you have Coach McDermott there. Hopefully the Buffalo Bills will be all right. I'll be sad to see Leslie Frazier go. Let's be honest about it. I don't want to see Leslie Frazier go. But he has mentioned before that he does want to be a head coach again in the NFL. Currently 61 years of age. Obviously that window of opportunity is closing on him, right? We know that a lot of teams want to go younger at the NFL head coaching position. I mean, you look at some of the newer head coaches. You look at Kingsbury over in Arizona. You look at McVay with the St. Louis Rams. You look at Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers, getting younger head coaches, so hopefully longer tenured coaching careers. But still, even with that window of opportunity shrinking, he still should be considered for a head coaching position. I told you earlier about coaches that are with their second team in the NFL. I just wanted to go over that list with you real quick. And now these are in alphabetical order by the team that they're with. First, you go with Mike McCarthy. This is going to be his first season with the Dallas Cowboys, right? And he previously with the Green Bay Packers went 135, 85-2 for a 61% winning percentage. Let's see how he does in Dallas. You talk about Mike McCarthy. You talk about his issues with Aaron Rodgers. It seems like they were not getting along. They were not thinking on the same page towards the end of his tenure. Let's see how he does with Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, people like that with the Dallas Cowboys organization. I'm not a Dallas Cowboys fan, but I do think Mike McCarthy is a good hire for that team. Of course, Andy Reid, reigning Super Bowl head coach Andy Reid, has been with the Kansas City Chiefs for 8 seasons now, formerly with the Philadelphia Eagles. As a head coach, he is 222, 142-1 for a 61% winning percentage. Again, winning his first Super Bowl this past offseason. Definitely a Hall of Fame head coach, in my opinion. John Gruden's actually with his second team, but third stint as head coach. His coaches. This is his second time with the Oakland Raiders, getting ready for his third season back with Oakland, formerly the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, formerly of the Oakland Raiders before that, has a Super Bowl title to his name. Not sure if that means he's worth $100 million, which is what the Oakland Raiders paid him, but he has a 111 and 106 career record in the NFL. Then you go to the guy we talked about earlier, Bill Belichick. A lot of young fans don't realize Bill Belichick was the coach of the Cleveland Browns before he was the coach of the New England Patriots. Came into Cleveland, was the coach for 3 seasons, went 36 and 44, 4 seasons, 36 and 44, less than the 50% winning percentage, only won 45% of his games in Cleveland, and that's with Nick Saban as his defensive coordinator. So we had a heavy, strong cast of coaches in Cleveland. Obviously, you just can't win in Cleveland no matter what you do. Obviously, then Bill Belichick comes to New England. He's 304, 137 in his career for a 69% winning percentage as a head coach. Obviously, a Hall of Famer. Adam Gase is with his second team, his second season with the New Jersey Jets, formerly of the Miami Dolphins. Listen, as Bills fans, we have loved seeing Adam Gase in our division. I don't understand how a guy like Adam Gase can get a second chance as head coach, and you could say that Leslie Frazier cannot. Again, I think Leslie Frazier should have had interviews at the end of last season. Some reason Brian Dable was, but Leslie Frazier wasn't. That doesn't make sense to me. I feel like Leslie Frazier has proven that he could be a good head coach, given the right system, given the right team, that he could get the job done. But as a head coach, Adam Gase is 30 and 35, a 46% winning percentage. Bruce Arians is with his second team now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, formerly of the Arizona Cardinals. In his career, Bruce Arians is 66, 44 and 1, basically a 60% winning percentage as a head coach. And then the Washington Redskins just hired Ron Rivera this season, his second stint as head coach, first stint formerly of the Carolina Panthers, went 79, 67 and 1 with them for a 54% winning percentage. So those are the coaches currently in the NFL enjoying tenures with a second team. So it's obviously something that happens quite frequently, and I think it's time that Leslie Frazier gets a chance at redemption, because with Minnesota, he just never got off to that right start, right? It just seemed like it never worked in Minnesota. He even led them to the playoffs, which was somewhere at the time Minnesota hadn't been for quite a while. So to see that production maybe made expectations on the following season a little bit higher. So when they finished 5-10 and 1, big time disappointment in Minnesota, and he's let go shortly after that. So then I wanted to take a look at 2020 coaches on the hot seat. What NFL head coaches are on the hot seat? And guys, if I name a coach here that you think shouldn't be on the hot seat, or if I miss a name, make sure you let me know in the comment section. Again, leave a comment. Make sure you like this video. Let me know what you think about Leslie Frazier. Again, as defensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills, has done nothing but a great job, nothing but respect for the man. However, again, so much respect that I do believe he deserves to get a look at the head coaching position on another team. And maybe one of these teams are the teams that will see him the head coach of next season. When you look at head coaches on the hot seat, I think it starts with Atlanta Falcons head coach Dan Quinn. The Atlanta Falcons, ever since they made it to the Super Bowl, ever since they blew that second half lead against the New England Patriots 3-4 seasons ago now, they've been on a downhill trajectory, it seems like, right? Expectations are always high for Atlanta. You talk about Matt Ryan, you talk about Julio Jones, you talk about some of the weapons that they have over there. They just never meet those expectations, whether it be because the Saints are that dominant, or whether it be because they can't get past the Carolina Panthers, or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now are coming up with Tom Brady. So obviously a tough division, a tough place to play. But we're talking about Matt Ryan, a former NFL MVP. You talk about Julio Jones, who some would still consider one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver in the game. You have to be able to make something happen there. Dan Quinn definitely on the hot seat in Atlanta, in my opinion. Matt Nagy, that's a tough name to say just because of Lancaster County ties. Again, I shoot this channel from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and he is originally from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Currently the head coach of the Chicago Bears. But Matt Nagy, after having a good first season, just hasn't been able to get over the hump, right? Mitch Trubisky hasn't been the quarterback they wanted him to be. They bring in Nick Foles. So let's see what happens with this offense. Does he get more creative at the offensive position, or at the offensive side of the ball? That first season, very creative. We're able to do some things but since then just hasn't been able to get the job done. I think Matt Nagy of the Chicago Bears is on the hot seat. Then you go down to Matt Patricia. If Matt Nagy is on the hot seat, who was hired in 2018, you have to think Matt Patricia of the Detroit Lions is on the hot seat. Now, Matt Patricia has had some issues with injury, right? Matthew Stafford missed most of last season due to an injury, so the Detroit Lions just were unable to get over the hump there. Matthew Stafford, after a short sample size last season, looked like he was going to have a really good season. Unfortunately, injury struck, out for the rest of the season, really messed with the Detroit Lions season, with the potential of a good Detroit Lions season. But still, in his 2 seasons, he only has 9 wins as the Lions head coach. Needs to improve on that to show some confidence in the Detroit Lions GM front office, and hopefully have some confidence in Matt Patricia. But Matt Patricia, a guy that I think is on the hot seat. I think the hottest seat in the house entering the 2020 NFL season belongs to Houston Texans head coach Bill O'Brien. We all know about the offseason trade this past season that sent their top star, their top weapon, over to the Arizona Cardinals for David Johnson in return. They do get Brandon Cooks as well, so they do have another weapon. Deshaun Watson is there. We know the Houston Texans did beat the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs last season. They held a huge lead against the Kansas City Chiefs in the first quarter just to blow it. And so some people would say, hey, if the head coach makes the playoffs the previous season, hard to say he's on the hot seat this year. But when you take a look at the trade, you take a look at the fingerprint that Bill O'Brien has on this team. If the Texans get off to a poor start, I could see Bill O'Brien being fired in the beginning of the season, the first half of the season. Another guy in the hot seat, another guy in the AFC South, Doug Marrone, Jacksonville Jaguars head coach. Listen, the Jaguars are a bad team. We think that the Jaguars are in rebuild mode. They have Minshew Mania leading the charge there, but they're in rebuild mode. If they're trying to get Trevor Lawrence, you probably want a new head coach to come in. New head coach, new quarterback, try to get that going together. The last thing you want to do is have Trevor Lawrence come in next season and then fire Marrone after that season, make him have to learn a whole new offensive system with a new offensive coordinator that would come in. So when you talk about possibly the Jaguars really tanking to get that first overall pick, if that does happen, Doug Marrone might be gone as the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach. Listen, as a Bills fan, I wouldn't be sad to see Marrone go. Still hold a little bit of a grudge for how he left Buffalo high and dry after the death of our owner, Ralph Wilson. But Doug Marrone is definitely on the hot seat. And then the last guy I have on the hot seat is a coach that I really like, but I think he has to make something happen this season. That's Bruce Arians of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Listen, when you bring in a guy like Tom Brady, when you bring in Rob Gronkowski, you have those receivers at your disposal. You have a guy in Jameis Winston who was able to throw for 30 touchdowns last season. What can Tom Brady do in this offense? And if Tampa Bay struggles, and this defense should be well improved too, it's going to be easier to play defense when you're not constantly on the field after 30 interceptions thrown by your quarterback. So this defense should improve. You got Tom Brady now at the helm. I feel like Bruce Arians is definitely on the hot seat. Tampa Bay spent a lot of money this offseason. They want to see production on the field. So those are my 6 head coaches on the hot seat entering the 2020 NFL season. Could easily see Leslie Frazier as the head coach of one of these teams going into 2021. Again, let me know what you think in the comment section. Who did I miss? What coaches are on the hot seat that I may have missed? Or where do you think Leslie Frazier may be next season? I hope he's with the Buffalo Bills. I just don't see it happening. The only way I see him being with the Buffalo Bills next season is if the Buffalo Bills defense is horrendous this year. Obviously, we don't want that. We want to see this team in the playoffs, and that might mean we're seeing Leslie Frazier on a different team next season. But again, let me know what you think in the comment section. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button, and again, subscribe to Billievers Talk for continual Buffalo Bills and Buffalo sports news. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Until I do, go Bills.